Upon his return to the hotel, Franz found Albert in his dressing gown and slippers, listlessly extended on a sofa, smoking a cigar. "My dear fellow," cried he, springing up, "is it really you? Why, I did not expect to see you before tomorrow." "My dear Albert," replied Franz, "I am glad of this opportunity to tell you, once and forever, that you entertained a most erroneous notion concerning Italian women. I should have thought the continual failures you have met with in all your own love affairs may have taught you better by this time. Upon my soul, these women would puzzle the very devil to read them aright. Why, here, they give you their hand, they press yours in return, they keep up a whispering conversation, permit you to accompany them home. Why, if a Parisian were to indulge in a quarter of these marks of flattering attention, her reputation would be gone forever. And the very reason why women of this fine country, where sounds the sea, as Dante writes, put so little restraint on their words and actions, is because they live so much in public, and have really nothing to conceal. Besides, you must have perceived that the Countess was really alarmed." "At what?" "At the sight of that respectable gentleman sitting opposite us in the same box with the lovely Greek girl. Now, for my part, I met them in the lobby after the conclusion of the piece, and hang me if I can guess where you took your notions of the other world from. I can assure you that this hobgoblin of yours is a deuced fine-looking fellow, admirably dressed. Indeed, I feel quite sure, from the cut of his clothes, they are made by a first-rate Paris tailor, probably Blin or Uman. He was rather too pale, certainly. But then, you know, paleness is always looked upon as a strong proof of aristocratic descent and distinguished breeding." Franz smiled, for he well remembered that Albert particularly prided himself on the entire absence of color in his own complexion. Oh, hello, everybody. It feels good to be back. I don't know if you can tell. I hope you can't, because I have avoided recording for about a week and a half. I came down with a pretty big dose of allergies, and have been working tirelessly to get them out of my nose so that I don't sound stuffy while recording. I fear there is still a little bit left, but the show must go on, as they say. So something kind of interesting happens in today's passage, that it seems that Dumas is becoming known for, at least, well, to me, having read only a handful of his stories at this point. But even in this story, just within Monte Cristo, he's done this so many times. And I'm wondering if there is a point of diminishing returns, if there is a longer-term effect it will have. Again, this is me being cryptic. What I mean is, Albert has met Dante off-screen, so to speak, off-page, if you will, leaving Franz in a position of probably not admiration, but envy, or just in a place where, like, tell me everything. But as a reader, particularly, I'm like, why? At what point? Now, is it, again, the format of the podcast where one chapter, 2 chapters, 5 chapters takes half a year, where if you were to sit down and read it, you could knock those out in, 1 or 2 sittings, that this effect of keeping Dante at a distance is becoming strained a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm not at a breaking point by any means, but I feel like if dramatic irony is the audience knowing something that the characters don't, what do we call it when Dumas is holding information from the audience? Is that, I feel like under other circumstances it would be misdirection, but I don't know that that's his intent here, necessarily, because it feels like conjuring trickery. And I think that's clearly not what Dumas has in mind. But how do I even phrase this? Like, there are authors and playwrights that do this with intentionality. And I'm thinking like Harold Pinter is someone who would write characters and stories and never give us, the audience, the information, but have it kind of loom over the character dynamics, the situations, the play as a whole, with that intentional question mark over things. I'm not sure that's exactly what's going on here. This is just like an intentional distancing effect, not to put a question mark over things, but to just continually amplify the mysterious nature of Dante's current reputation. But again, without knowing the full story, how can I really comment on that? I don't know. Well, sorry for that messiness. That's what 1 week of allergy-riddled brain will do to you. How about this one little factoid for you about complexion, since that comes up in this. Maybe overly obvious, but worth stating that aristocratic men in particular, but most of the aristocracy of the 19th century favored a pale complexion because it was yet another way to distinguish themselves from people who did manual labor. So it suggested a life of refinement, luxury, leisure, what have you, just like any other sort of fashion, even up to modern day, where certain classes of people will look at other fashion choices or aspects of normal people and try to distinguish themselves against it. You can look at, maybe as a very superficial example, veneers on celebrities, which I don't understand. I don't fully get why literally everybody is getting veneers to the point where it's difficult for them to talk. Go and look up interviews with Steve Carell even, and Jeff Garlin and Tim Allen. Like, why are they doing the veneer thing? I don't get it entirely. I don't get it. But it does set celebrities apart from modern people for some reason. I don't understand why that distinction needs to be there, but that's just a superficial example of this nowadays. Miley Cyrus, Timothy Olyphant, Zac Efron, Tom Cruise, Demi Moore, Nicolas Cage, Scarlett Johansson, Morgan Freeman, George Clooney, Blake Lively, Millie Bobby Brown, Emily Blunt. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.